Hold up.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is FoxyDude98 here, and welcome back to a brand new video for you guys today here on my channel. Today we are back with, I believe it's round 15 of my F1 2016 career mode season 2 with Mercedes-Benz. And today I hope you guys do enjoy the video. If you do, drop a like on it, that'd be absolutely awesome, and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed to my channel yet. And today's focus is going to be again on what I talked about yesterday in terms of what team I'm going to be going to for next season. Now, personally, I actually felt that the majority of people would go with the option of leaving Mercedes at the end of the season and embarking on yet another quest for the next season, but that was not the case. It's literally split right down the middle, half and half. Half of you in the comment section was saying to go to a team such as like Ferrari, which that depends on what contract offers I get at the end of the season, or if I stay with Mercedes. A lot of people are saying to stay with Mercedes just in general, and some are saying to stay with Mercedes and upgrade the car to its absolute maximum. So it's getting a little bit difficult to choose. Now, yesterday, I didn't put it yesterday, but when I was responding to some comments, I saw that I responded to all the comments, and I saw that the thing was split. So what I actually did is I created a straw poll, which I've actually now going to be linking and telling you about in this video. In the link in the description on this video, and also I will comment it in the comment section down below, is going to be a straw poll. The question is simple. Do you want me to stay at Mercedes, and do you want me to leave, or do you want me to leave and accept a different contract when it comes to the end of the season? So the choice is in your hands. I will be looking at it by tomorrow when I start recording the next episode and editing it. About 2 PM tomorrow, I will be taking thoughts into consideration, and then I will make the final decision. So you've got all of basically the rest of today and all of the night and tomorrow morning, UK time that is, to make your choices and see where you want me to do, or what you want me to do for season 3. But anyway, as I was talking about that in the practice sessions, we got maximum resource points everywhere we went. We have a brand new rival now of Lewis Hamilton. So we've had Hamilton before. All we've really had this season is Hamilton or Ricciardo. So we got Lewis Hamilton this time. Into Q1, then we go. We got Danny Kvyat in front of us here in Singapore. Nothing really major here. We got past that first lap cleanly, and we overtook Danny Kvyat just as a little bit of a screw you, Kvyat, I'm quick. Daniel Ricciardo sets the fastest lap, and as you actually saw in practice as well, I showed that Kevin Magnussen, Lewis Hamilton, and Daniel Ricciardo have got 5-place grid penalties. So I'm not sure why, but they do. Into Q2, Jenson Button held me up massively on at the end of the sector in Sector 3. It actually damaged my front wing as well, as I was so desperate just to try and get past him, really blocking me, and I nearly got knocked out of Q2 thanks to Jenson Button being a complete idiot. But luckily I was still managing to get into Q3. And into Q3 we go now, round the final corner here, and we're going to open the DRS and come across the line there to set what is the fastest lap in Q3. However, it did not give me enough to actually get pole position. Ricciardo gets pole position ahead of Hamilton, myself, Raikkonen and Vettel. However, remember, both Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton will be taking 5-place grid penalties for incidents in practice, meaning that I'm actually going to be starting on pole, and Raikkonen will be alongside me on the front row of the grid. Ricciardo will start 6th, Hamilton will start 7th, and you'll see it when Crofty and Anthony take over. So that's going to be it then for all of qualifying in the race. Don't forget to check out the straw poll, and let me know if it works as well, just to make sure that, you know, it's actually the votes are counting or not. And keep sending in those suggestions. What do you want me to do? Stay at Mercedes or accept a different contract offer when it comes to the end of the season? But there are the race goals, guys. Let's get into the race for the Singapore Grand Prix.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay Circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. Situated just 88 miles north of the equator, this 3.5-mile circuit is hot, it's humid, and is an incredible test for the drivers as they try to fight their cars around the bumps and in between the barriers. 23 corners take us twice over the bay to complete a single lap of this unique racetrack. The view is spectacular, the heat is unbearable. The race should be incredible. Joining me on this very wet day is a man who's no stranger to driving in miserable conditions. Anthony Davidson, you've driven open cockpit, you've driven sports cars. How does the wet weather experience change between the different disciplines?
Well, I wouldn't say there's much difference in all honesty. You know, besides the terrifying closing speeds you find in sports cars with the different categories all sharing the same track, driving in the rain is, well, driving in the rain. Of course, the biggest difference between the two is the closed cockpit versus the open cockpit. You get the luxury of staying dry in the sports car, but if your screen ever gets dirty, well, that's a pit stop, not just wiping your visor or pulling away a tear off. But most of the time, you know, they're both as miserable as each other, to be honest.
Okay, remember to protect the inside on the run down to turn 1. Make yourself as wide as possible, robust, but fair.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. It's Mercedes in pole position then, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Vettel, Alonso, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Hamilton, Button, Gutierrez and Nico Hülkenberg, Wehrlein, Sainz, Sergio Perez and Bottas, Haryanto, Grosjean, Daniel Kvyat and Felipe Massa, Palmer and Ericsson, Felipe Nasser and Kevin Magnussen rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright then guys, as you can see we are now on the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix and yep, it's raining. But looking at the race strategy here, it's going to be heavy rain and then it's literally going to be a monsoon, a thunderstorm of just, oh my god, we're going to have some problems in this race. It's going to be extremely wet throughout this Singapore Grand Prix, so we definitely need to watch out for that. Moving on into the formation lap, I decided this time that I really needed to warm up the tyres quite considerably because I'm going to need to get a lot of temperature into these tyres and brakes, especially in these very, very cold and wet conditions on the track. So we need to be wary of that. But as you can see, we're on the grid now. We've got 3, 4, now 5 red lights for the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is lights out and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. A good start by myself, a little bit slow off the line there in the initial phase, but the second part of the start is a lot faster, and down into turn 1 we're going to give a little bit of space around the outside line, but no one manages to get past us, and we stay P1 in this Grand Prix. Vettel has actually gone in front of Kimi Raikkonen, so Raikkonen losing out at the start there to his teammate Sebastian Vettel, who a lot of people in the comments believe that I should be going to Ferrari next season. We'll have to I'll keep on track with those comments today, and I'll keep on track with the straw poll, but nevertheless, enough about that now. You know all about it. We now need to focus on trying to build ourselves a gap. You can see, coming now down towards the end of the first sector, we have about a 1.6, I can't really see it, it's over a 1 second gap, but can't see it fully. But anyway, down into a difficult right-hander. The entire track, to be honest, is extremely difficult. We're in the full wet conditions. I'm just trying to get a feel for the track. I've not had any practice sessions where there's been any rain whatsoever. I knew prior to the Grand Prix that it was going to be full wet conditions. However, I was not prepared due to the fact that there was just no indication that we were going to have full wet weather conditions for this for the practice sessions. Otherwise, I would have done a practice session in the full wet. But unfortunately, we can't, and we're just going to have to learn in the race itself. But anyway, coming now down towards what's going to be the end of the middle sector, starting onto the final sector, you can see that we've got a lot of wheel spin at the moment coming out of all of these difficult corners, but we definitely then have a better secondary phase of everything, and it can even show from the start of the race. So the start of the race you saw, we'll replay the start of the race to show what I mean, but we're definitely struggling a little bit on the traction out of the corners, but then as soon as we really get the traction and we start getting the power down, we've got a lot of speed in this Mercedes car. So things are looking okay at the moment. We definitely need to try and see if we can fix these wheel spinning problems and try and just feed our way through the water and see if we can get any sort of, get the traction back in the car. Losing the back end just a tiny little bit, coming to the second to last corner. Down towards this final corner now, you can see here that more of the back end just trying to eke out a little or get away from me there, but we managed to set the fastest lap of the race. And that's it for the end of the first lap. Quite a slow and gentle lap as we try and work our way around. But let's have a replay of the start then. So as you can see, the traction of my car, I didn't quite get the best of starts, but it's that secondary phase where we get it all clean. Vettel actually barges into Raikkonen there, so the two Ferraris making contact going down into turn 1, but nothing too major for the two Ferrari drivers. Vettel in the end gets in front of them. I don't think Maurizio Arrivabene will be too proud of those drivers coming together into turn 1. Down into turn 4 then, we're now going to be making the charge down this back straight here with the DRS zone, which there's going to be no DRS in this race. purely on the fact that it's too wet and DRS is going to be disabled for what we believe is going to be the entire Grand Prix. So entering into the end of the first sector, you can see how all the drivers are panning out. My teammate Lewis Hamilton a little bit further back from all of this lot, so he's definitely going to want to pick up the pace if he's going to be able to catch me, because at the moment in this Formula 1 World Championship I am literally doing a Nico Rosberg right now, and I'm literally just pulling further and further away from him, so we definitely want to be looking to try and increase our advantage there. Now moving on further into the lap, you can see that we're just gently trying to work our way around. And what I was saying earlier, basically my car seems to be having a lot more wheel spin than the AI coming out of the corners. However, as soon as I can control the wheel spin and I can start unleashing the power of the Mercedes, I'm literally just bolted. Like, Vettel was so close to me in this corner here, and all of a sudden, as soon as my Mercedes just kicks into life, you can see the gap that we managed to build over the Ferrari driver. And it's showing here, you can see how much they close in on me, and then as soon as I'm eligible to really get the power down, that's when I'm at its fastest. But you can see how much I'm giving it all on this first lap already, as I try and build myself a small gap, because with this heavy rain at the moment, and it's actually meant to get even worse, it's meant to get towards like a proper thunderstorm. We really want to try and build an advantage over these drivers in case I start to struggle even more, and then that means that I'll have a little bit of a buffer and I can try and wait for the lighter rain to fall when I know my Mercedes car will be that much quicker, because I feel like the Mercedes car in general is better in the dry than it is in the wet. And that is going to be it for the end of the first lap. Moving on then into lap 2 of the Grand Prix, you can see we set the fastest middle sector of the race so far, which is kind of evident because you know, it's lap 2, so we expect it to go quicker. Yellow flags are out and now green flags. We're back racing again, and Carlos Sainz is the first casualty in this wet weather Grand Prix. And we're going to have a look at the problem here. So unfortunately the camera angle starts off quite bad. You can see the puff of smoke there. Carlos Sainz suffering an engine failure, and that's his race over and done with. No points for Carlos Sainz. A bad result there for Toro Rosso, losing one of their drivers so early on in the Grand Prix. Moving on to lap 3 of the Grand Prix, and the rain is getting much heavier, and it's starting to get to the fact where it's actually undrivable. I was really struggling on the track in some parts to really just actually drive the car. It felt like I was sailing on a boat rather than actually being in a car. And as you can see, we're coming now over the bridge down into this difficult hairpin corner here, actually clipping the wall. Luckily no damage was taken there. I actually went to go and check, and the safety car has been deployed. Now the safety car, I actually went to go and check to see why the safety car actually came out. The reason the safety car came out is because of the weather. For the first time ever in the Formula 1 race that I've ever done on this game, I have never had a safety car because of the wet weather. But the rain has got so heavy now that the safety car has been forced to come out to take us round the circuit until it dries out. And on lap 6 of the Grand Prix, the safety car makes its way back into the pits, and we're going to get racing again. So strange, that one. I've never seen the safety car come out for the weather, but it was literally driving in a monsoon, so we really needed to get that safety car out just to clear out a little bit of water. But as you can see then, we're going to be returning to racing speed now. In fact, the grid is still actually quite spread out. There's not many people that I've managed to bunch up behind me. We've got Vettel, Raikkonen, the 2 McLarens and the 2 Red Bulls, and that's it. So unfortunately, it's not good for anyone that was hoping to catch up during the safety car period. It's not going to work out too well for them. But as you can see now, we're coming into the first part of the corner. You can see my car sliding around everywhere, really having to wrestle the steering wheel and wrestle the car really as I try and work out what to do in these conditions. Into turn 4, I believe this is, making a little bit of a fuss of it, not quite getting onto the apex properly, but we're okay. And now Sebastian Vettel is looking to try and hunt us down and see if he could try and make up any places, or even take the, in other words, take the lead of the Grand Prix in this circumstances. Setting the fastest first sector of the race so far, we're going to be looking to try and push away once we did before. We did actually manage to build ourselves about a 1 to 2 second gap over Sebastian Vettel prior to the safety car coming out. But of course, now that the safety car has come out, Vettel has got a fresh opportunity to keep within a good distance between me and him and look to try and challenge us later on in the Grand Prix, or even as soon as possible. We're coming now down towards what I believe is turn 11, which they changed from the triple chicane just to one left-hander, which I like the triple chicane, to be honest. It added something new to a race course. But unfortunately they decided to get rid of it, which I wasn't too happy about. Moving on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix now, you can see that me and Vettel are actually pulling away from the field, and my engineer now feels that the time is right to go onto the green wall intermediate tyres. Now, of course, at this stage, the rain actually stopped, so bringing the safety car out was sort of like in F1 in real life, where they felt like because they had to use the blue marked full wet tyres, there was just no point in using them, and now we have to go straight onto the intermediate tyres. But anyway, we have decided to accept Jeff's call, and we're going to come in for the intermediate tyres. I'm starting to be a lot slower on these full wet tyres as I'm struggling to actually cool them down. The temperature of these are increasing to the point where it's going to start burning these full wet tyres, and they're just going to become completely useless later on in the Grand Prix. So onto this end of this lap, we are going to be accepting Jeff's call, and we are going to be pitting this lap for a set of the Greenwall intermediate tyres, which we should be taking to the end of the race. It was expected to dry out at the end of the race, however, literally at the very end, like on the last lap, so we should not really be looking to go onto slick tyres anytime soon. As you can see now, we're coming into the pits here with the Mercedes team, and hopefully we don't get held up, and it depends as well on how many people are coming in. So as you can see, we're into the pits now. My crew are ready for me. They've got the tyres out, they've got everything ready. So as you can see, coming in now, Inter's on, and look at that, straight out in front of Jenson Button and Max Verstappen. A beautiful pit stop from the Mercedes crew. Vettel gets held up by Verstappen and Button. So we've actually built a small little gap in the pit stop due to Vettel and Verstappen having a couple of problems in the pits. So a lovely pit stop there from Mercedes to get me out in front of Verstappen and also Jenson Button, and not cost me any time, crucially, in this Grand Prix. And we managed to rejoin just in front of Felipe Massa, in which Vettel is going to have to negotiate somewhere on track, because we are on the intermediate tyres, which are going to be now a lot faster than the wets, and you can already see the increased speed that I'm actually being able to carry at the moment. And you can also see how much traction I've got over the rest of the driving. You can already see me dropping Felipe Massa rapidly. And now my attention focuses on Romain Grosjean in the Haas car. We're finally going to get some action in this Mercedes car. I think we're about to, because Grosjean, we are catching him at a vast rate of knots here on our intermediate tyres, with Grosjean on very worn and, quite frankly, the wrong tyres, really. The wet weather tyres shouldn't really be on those, but he is, and now we're going to be looking to try and close him down and see if we can make a move on him. So coming up towards turn 11 now, you can see how quickly we're gaining on Grosjean just in the braking zone here. Now, we're coming towards the bridge section now, and it's clear to see that we are going to be making a move on Romain Grosjean. Down into the bridge section, I have a look down the inside, but Grosjean sort of closes me off. A little bit of a tap there on my front wing to his rear car, but straight away we managed to outdrag Grosjean there, as his full wet tyres just simply won't give him any traction or acceleration, whereas my fresh intermediate tyres are much better for these conditions, and Grosjean will definitely need to pit at the end of this lap in order to get on the intermediate tyres. But now our pursuit goes on to Rio Haryanto in the manor, as he has also not stopped yet, and you can see how quickly we've closed up onto him. We're going to make a late braking move down the inside into the tunnel section, and we do it quite cleanly there, allowing Rio Haryanto some space so he doesn't hit the wall there. So a nice fair bit of driving from myself there onto lap 10 of the Grand Prix. All is going very nice for us at the moment. I feel, actually, it was Fernando Alonso that was holding up Vettel in the pits, because I've just seen in front of me is Jenson Button, who's actually coming to the pits now. So Raikkonen pits onto the intermediate tyres as well, so he actually stayed out a lap longer, and that cost him badly. Moving on to lap 14 of the Grand Prix, I have now built a massive gap out front, but it didn't quite go all my way in the end of the race. I actually locked up the front right, I believe it was, and I actually got a little bit of damage to my front wing there. Nothing too major. I probably, if it was early on in the race, would repair it, but it's no need. We did suffer with quite a bit of understeer, but luckily it was towards the end of the race, so I decided not to come into the pits. Final lap then of the Grand Prix, coming around the second to last corner, and round the final corner now, we have come through, and we're going to win the Singapore Grand Prix. A brilliant result for myself there. That is a hat-trick of wins. The first time we've managed to get a hat-trick of wins this season. A brilliant result, and that is and we have now actually increased our Drivers' Championship lead over Lewis Hamilton, thanks to yet another race win. Overall, the race was quite a boring race, if I'm honest. But it was just weird to see the safety car come out during the wet weather periods. I do believe that the Ferraris and the Red Bulls were much faster, or were actually matching my pace. When we were on the blue-walled full wet tyres, the Ferraris and Red Bulls were definitely there. They definitely had some pace, and especially after the safety car, the gap never got to over a second between me and Vettel before we both dived off into the pits. It was Vettel that actually got held up by Felipe Massa, and I just got a lot more comfortable on the intermediate tyres than the other drivers, and I was able to come through and take home the win. Lewis Hamilton not on the podium, unfortunately for him, which is really going to dent his title hopes, which is kind of like in real life, to be honest. He's not exactly making his real life championship easy either, as it is here in Singapore. Champagne's flying then. Vettel takes second with Verstappen third, and that's going to be it for the Singapore Grand Prix. So as we scroll further down, you can see that Hamilton finished 20th in the race, so he did not even score a point. So the gap was about 70 points in the championship. It's going to be a lot more than that now, and you can see it there. The championship lead has gone up to about 104 points, I believe that says. So a huge margin for Lewis Hamilton to catch, and it's almost inevitable that we're going to be winning the Drivers' Championship for Mercedes by a massive margin at this rate at the moment. So all going wrong for Hamilton at the moment, and he really needs to start turning it up a little bit. In the Constructors' standings, Mercedes have increased their advantage over Red Bull to over 180 points now. So everything is going well for Mercedes in terms of the drivers and the Constructors' standings. But guys, that's going to be it for the Singapore Grand Prix. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, that'd be absolutely awesome. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. Don't forget to cast your votes either by putting it in the comment section down below or by clicking the link of the straw poll where you can cast your votes, and then I'll be looking at the results tomorrow before I record the next video, so I can see what you guys want to happen for next season. We have a voicemail as well telling us how well we're doing with Mercedes, so that's all cool for that. And yeah, that's it for the Singapore Grand Prix. Next up, I believe, is the Malaysian Grand Prix, so an interesting one. Until then, guys, I will see you next time for Malaysia. Take care. Peace.